Megan Hicks of I Run Far. I'm with Matt Daniels. It's before the 2019 Western States 100. Good morning, Matt. How are you?
Good morning. I'm good. Yeah, how are you doing?
I'm well. You arrived to Olympic Valley yesterday. You are at the starting line of your debut 100-mile race. How's the mind feeling right now?
It's filled with excitement at the moment. I'm kind of just taking it all in. I think I've already seen like 5 celebrities since I stepped foot here in Olympic Valley this morning, and it's been an exciting morning already.
So, in my mind, you are a runner who has tried just about everything at this point. I mean, I was trying to think about things you haven't tried, and maybe like swim run races and obstacle course racing, but you've done everything. Why ultra running now?
Yeah, I got my start kind of in the shorter distances with the like half mile and mile growing up, and I knew eventually I wanted to be able to not be good just at the shorter distances, but the longer distances. And through my running career, ultra running has gotten popular, and so I figured the next step after the marathon was to get out on the trails and experience that and see what kind of range I can have. And that's kind of been the excitement for me is being that guy that can step foot on a track on any given day and run a fast time, and then get out on the trails and compete with some of the best in the world too. And so what better trajectory than just keep going up, and 100 miles is where I'm at now. So
next step, 200 miles, who knows?
Yeah, we'll see. I think maybe in a few years, I don't know. We'll finish off with like the Triple Crown, right, where they have the 3 200-mile races, and by that point there'll probably be those 500-mile races popping up and stuff too. So but yeah, it'll be a while before I do any 200-mile races.
The Badwater double crossing or something crazy like that.
We'll see.
Okay, so this is I Run Far's first interview with you, so I'd love to back up. Now, you're originally from Texas. I thought maybe I'd hear a little bit more twang in your voice, but you're also a global citizen. You've now lived all over the country.
Yeah, I have, and I can bring out some of that twang if you want me to. I guess we could have started off with saying howdy. But yeah, I've been fortunate enough since I've been 18 to live all across the world. I was in the Navy and served in Japan. I've lived in Hawaii. I've lived a short stint in California. So I've been all over the place, and I've found myself calling Colorado home now for the past few years. And yeah, when you're in Colorado, you try not to act too much like a Texan. So the accent's gone away.
It's true. Texans are not so popular in the Rocky Mountain states, are they?
Not at all. Nope.
Okay, so you found running like as a kid, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I started when I was 11 years old.
Okay.
So yeah, I had one of my good friends growing up got me introduced into summer track, and yeah, I fell in love with it and I quit all the other sports I was playing. Quitting football, living in the state of Texas is kind of like a sin.
It's a true sin, I think.
It is, yeah. I lost a lot of friends at a young age, and then I started showing up in the newspaper as being a fast runner, and started earning new friends and things that way. But yeah, it was a full transition at the age of like 11, 12 years old.
And if I understand it right, you realized pretty quickly that you had some talent.
Yeah, my first race on the track was a mile, and I was able to run 5:03. And yeah, I remember a gentleman coming down from the stand saying, I don't know what other sports you play or anything like that, but you should really focus on making running your main sport. And that was kind of a wake up call to me. And yeah, I went all in, and from there just kind of kept progressing. So
you went through like the collegiate track and field program, then you did some road running, and then some more track and field racing after college, or?
Yeah, I didn't do a whole lot of track racing after college. I kind of went straight to the road scene, and I did a half marathon, I think, a few months after being out of college, and was able to qualify for the Olympic trials for the marathon. And yeah, I had a really short post-collegiate career on the roads and before I decided to hit up the trails. So.
And before ultra running, you tried sort of shorter distance mountain running type stuff. That's what you were magnetized toward first?
Sure, yeah. So yeah, right after the Olympic trials in 2016, I was convinced by Andy Wacker and Hayden Hawks to go to the U.S. mountain running champs, and we all went out there and had a good time and qualified for the world team. And that's when I really fell in love with trail running. And mountain running it's a different sport, but I knew I really enjoyed being out on the trails and in the mountains. And yeah, and did a few years of that, and I still am doing some mountain races. I'll go out to Sierras and all after this, and have my shot at a 30K race, and then yeah, I like to all distances. So
And pretty quickly, like jumping into ultra running, it seems like you must have decided, I want to get to Western States because, yeah, you raced a couple 50Ks and then all of a sudden it was 100K, 100 miles.
Yeah. So the plan wasn't really Western States for a few more years. I
Okay.
kind of wanted to take my time getting into the ultra running stuff, but I knew this year I wanted to give the 100K a try and see how that went for me, and it went really well my first race, my first real 100K, and so
Yeah.
I made the jump from 50K, kind of skipped over 50 miles, and enjoyed it so much. Figured I would take advantage of getting that golden ticket and come out here.
And so, I mean, you signed up for Black Canyon as your first 100K. It is a golden ticket race. If you got one of those tickets, you got an entry. Were you thinking like, oh, well, I'm not going to get a golden ticket, or I'm not going to take it if I get it, I'm going to wait? Or where were you at Black Canyon?
Yeah, so at Black Canyon, the whole plan after talking to David Roach, my coach, was let's just get through the race and not even think about the golden ticket until afterwards, and we can have a discussion on if it's going to be right or not. And it just like we made the decision, let's go experience Western States this year and see what it's all about and how much you can enjoy the process of training for a 100-miler and being out there, and then set yourself up for a really good year next year. The wind's picking up. I feel like my mustache is about to fly away here.
I'm going to say, we need like hairstyles and stuff and somebody to hold the camera. It's an incredible weather day here.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're at the starting line of your first 100-mile race. The way I look at somebody like you and somebody with your sort of inherent and honed running speed is that it's like, I don't know, it can be like a diamond, but it can be like kryptonite, because 100 miles is just a long way for everybody.
It is. Yeah, there's a lot of variables that go into 100 miles, and that's I had the opportunity to talk to Scott Jurek last week, and and he told me, respect the distance. Like, 100K is one thing, 100 miles is another thing, and for guys with a lot of speed like me, I think you can see that. We've watched Jim a few times go out and use his speed, and sometimes that plays to his advantage and sometimes it doesn't. And I think a lot of us guys with a lot of that leg speed and road background, we all know that going into it. And so it's really hard to kind of figure out the game for the full distance, but that's the whole point of it all, and what makes it so much fun is kind of seeing what's going to happen.
Yeah. So people like you, who I've talked to before, after races like this, they'll say, I really struggled with the slow pace. Like, I don't train at that pace. It didn't feel natural, so I didn't run it. Have you been training it? What is what you think a 100-mile pace is for this race? Yeah,
I've done a little bit of everything. My training volume hasn't been too high this year, just because we're being careful and looking at kind of the long-term approach to having success in 100 miles. But I have done a lot of stuff where a lot of pace variation stuff. It's hard for me to drop too much down in pace because it's just not what I'm used to, and I haven't done for years. But a big focus on this training block has kind of been to kind of retrain the muscle fiber development and get used to that slow twitch, fat burning mode, and a lot of time in the mountains and getting invert and stuff like that. So it has been a big transition. Yeah, no hardly any sub 6 minute miles on training runs anymore. So
it's probably kind of funny for you to look back at your training log and to see these paces that just look like not you.
Right. Yeah. No. Definitely. It's kind of it's one of those things. Like, I'm wondering, am I still fit, sort of thing. But I just have to remember, fitness isn't as big of a deal for a 100-mile race. You have to be more ready physically and kind of learn how to handle different situations and things like that. So, I'm a coach myself, and I have to remind myself what I remind my athletes all the time, and that's been the biggest learning curve for me. So
sometimes it can be so much easier to say things than to actually do things, right?
Yeah, no, definitely. And it's funny because growing up, that's probably what my parents were thinking about, parenting and stuff. And so trying to apply that to myself is where I'm at.
Here I am, Mom and Dad.
Yeah,
now
definitely.
I understand.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about the logistics of this weekend. We're standing in sort of a blustery, cool morning here at Olympic Valley. The weather is not predicted to be hot.
Yeah.
It's going to be kind of a different race this year. Have you been sort of resetting expectations or resetting how you think Saturday is going to go based upon this changing weather forecast?
I wish I could say yes, but to be honest with you, I'm going into the race with no expectations or big game plan. I do best with these ultra distances when I kind of just feel it out and let things happen and adjust on the fly. That's, everybody's a little bit different, but that's kind of where I've kind of figured out how to nail ultra running for myself is just don't let anything come into play. As far as the weather goes, I'm excited it's a little cooler because I had some issues with my heat training and some sauna sessions. So
it didn't go well, or you didn't get there? Or?
Yeah, I started doing them and then passed out real quick. I think it was very similar stuff that Courtney DeWalter dealt with last year.
Okay.
But I grew up in Texas, so I'm confident with if it does end up hot, how I'll feel. So
I've got the environmental history.
Yeah, exactly. And training in Hawaii a year ago, I think made a big difference too. So
right on.
Yeah.
So when I look at the men who are going to be on the starting line of this race, who I think could finish, like 20 guys who could go top 8 type of thing, I feel like everybody sits in one category or another. They are like the go out and chase off the front, or they are the sit in the wait and the I'm coming for you later on type of guys. Yep. Where do you fall in that?
Yeah, I don't know yet. A lot of it we'll see when I wake up on race morning and how the first miles up the escarpment go. And then, I was just talking to Craig Thornsley, and he said that the snow conditions are good and it's looking to be fast. So I know there's a little bit of snow to run through, but yeah, I guess, we'll see. I think I'll probably have a little bit more of a conservative approach just because it's the distance and there's a lot of unknown that I'm going to be facing. But it's also, I love to race and compete too. So who knows if I get caught up in it or not. We'll just kind of see how I'm feeling and how things play out. So yeah, I think it'll be a mystery.
A mystery even for you.
Yeah, definitely.
Right on. Well, enjoy that mystery.
Thank you.
Enjoy the extra miles between 100K and 100 miles.
Yep.
And we look forward to chasing you down the course on Saturday.
I appreciate it. Thanks.
Good luck.
Yeah.